aka Accelerated Kinetic Arts. It's a learning system I'm in the process of building that allows anybody to learn a movement art, that's dance, sports, or martial arts, at the rate of what we call a natural. And that's to say mucho more faster than is conventionally expected. But in this presentation, I'm going to talk to you about why movement arts matter. And I'm going to do that by telling a bit of my story. This is my dad and my brother and I. And movement art's really about returning to innocence, a state where life can get at us, right? And we can get at it. And my brother and I, we just played forever and ever and ever and ever. And it's the fun of this whole being embodied thing. This is Cameron Webb, my crazy brother. And man, he and I, we're just at it all the time. We turned everything in the house into swords and scepters and dragons and spaceships and so on. And it's just where we lived, in a state of perpetual romp. It was our training ground. Like any animal, we humans learn by tumbling about and making lots of mistakes. The trampoline is one of the best places to make those mistakes because it gives you the power of flight and very clear parameters for where that power begins and where it ends. My folks, bless their traumatized hearts, encouraged us to explore those parameters, and we would send ourselves flying off that thing and get hurt and scraped and come into the house crying and not do it again the next time because we knew from experience what worked and what didn't. This swarthy fellow Harrison Holdhouse and I spent our high school days outside. It was all cliffs and rivers for us, and it was there, or here, rather, in this magnificently, exquisitely, inconceivably beautiful place called Taos, that I first began to realize just how important giving and receiving feedback from our natural world is. Sophie Greenberg, when we were 16, she came up and she asked, she said, "Hey, Travis, do you want to come to tango class?" But, yes, I managed to mumble. And thus began my tango journey. As Aaron Garlick, he's a brilliant swordsman, which has been a constant source of great inspiration and annoyance since we met each other when we were 7. We've been hitting each other with sticks ever since. Swordsmanship is practically obsolete according to those who have forgotten what it's actually about, which has never been just killing, but rather about opening a warrior's heart to all the fire and all the rage and all the love and ultimately peace that's in there. The definition of kendo is cultivating the human spirit through the principles and application of the katana. That means kigurai, nobility of spirit, walking with pride and honor in all you do, or simply put, stand tall and unashamed. Practice, it's what brings all this together, and that's true with any art. And I don't know how many times I have used the excuse of not having a space or a partner or the right equipment or the time or the money to attend to these arts, which inform every aspect of my life. But the excuses are also silly when I consider the natural and human resources that we have available to us here in Taos. This is Isa Roski, one of my first tango partners. And during the same time period when we were getting into tango, we were also studying Celtic shamanism. And it was neat because both tango and shamanism depend completely on the same empathetic faculty. A connection with a person in a dance is no different from a connection with, say, the sky. Try it, you'll see what I mean. Brian and Deb, my first tango teachers in Boulder, Colorado, they were the first people to expose me to the notion that in systematizing a curriculum, breaking a vast body of knowledge down into chunks, and teaching them in a sequence, a student would not only learn more swiftly, but have access to a toolkit, which they could then apply to learning any movement art. Here's Marla. And see, if learning a movement art is a process of cultivating innocence, of play, of love, and reckless abandon, then this systematic approach gives the practitioner a safe place to express. These guidelines, these defining parameters, just like with the trampoline, give a student the power to fly. Angie and I met through a yoga for tango trade, which honestly, this barter system should be valid for everything, like getting my brakes fixed. All you mechanics out there. But that would be if our world was a sane place. But wouldn't that be something if every member of our community was encouraged to pursue their highest passion so they could give back the most to that community? This is John and I. And John's a madman and the co-founder of AKA, Accelerated Kinetic Arts. He and I met through a tango and went up to the roof with a bottle of wine to talk about the cosmic relevance of lead and follow and center and circle, and haven't come down since. Madness, it's really important. See, okay, so we're cultivating innocence, and we can almost replace innocence with cultivating truth or authenticity, or that sort of rarefied state wherein we find ourselves overcome by that particular kind of awe. And it's not always pleasant, but at least it's always us, who we are, engaging with the world as it is. As madness can be a key to this, and I don't mean let's get wasted and run around naked, except maybe sometimes that is what I mean. If it's honest, right? Especially here in Taos, where we're always so close to something so beautiful. The night sky itself can inform our practice. Aaron and Ani are some wonderful people I met in California for tango trade, for yoga and hula hoop and contact improv and so on. And they're examples of brilliant people who would give all of themselves to making the world a better place through sharing the love of movement. I say would give all, but it would be more accurate to say are giving all of themselves. The tricky part comes when they have to split themselves between teaching and performing and working the grind to pay the rent. It's the world we live in, it's as it is, and I won't spend time ragging on it, but I will say a community's movement artists are one of its greatest treasures. These people are here to help us break into ourself, to experience our bodies more fully, to know a deeper kind of health and well-being, to share keys to vitality they've discovered during countless hours of practice. So please seek these people out. Please treat yourself to all these professionals and what they have to offer, which, again, is to help us cultivate innocence, to help us remember something we may or may not remember, and that is that the world is good and we love each other. So much so that it's worth fighting and hula hooping and running and swimming and climbing and playing and dancing for.